Well, hello there. Back again, are we? Lovely to see you. I'd love to tell you today we're looking at the happy story of some Space Marines who got off to a bad start but managed to live full and joyful lives. However, that wouldn't really be in the grim dark spirit of Warhammer 40k now, would it? It's certainly not in the spirit of the story of the Lamenters, at least, the topic of today's video, and perhaps the saddest chapter of Space Marines in the entire setting. The Lamenters are a successor chapter of the Blood Angels. They were created from the gene seed of Sanguinius, but unlike their Primarch Pappy and the chapter they succeed, the Lamenters have a yellow design on their armour, with only a red stripe on their helms to let everyone know of their origin. Also, to combat the gross mustard yellow of their armour, the Lamenters have a shoulder plate decorated with black and white checks, and in the middle the chapter's badge can be seen, which is a red heart with a black tear. According to most of the Warhammer 40k universe, the Lamenters are a cursed Space Marine chapter, not in the sense that they have got demons trying to control their souls, although they even suffer heavily with the Black Rage or Red Thirst. No, the Lamenters just have really, really bad luck, something that everyone has seen since the chapter was first created. The Lamenters were made during the 21st founding of Space Marines in the late 36th millennium. This is known as the Cursed Founding, and it proves right since birth that the Lamenters have had a streak of bad luck. As well, this Cursed Founding attempted to make a generation of better Marines. Instead, it just ended up not being able to build on the work of Big Daddy E at all, and instead made a bunch of defective Marine chapters. The Lamenters, compared to some of the others of the 21st founding, didn't actually come out of this too badly, and they even managed to suppress the Blood Angels' flaws in their Black Rage and Red Thirst. However, just being associated with the Cursed Founding was bad enough for many other Marine chapters not made in the 21st founding to hate the Lamenters and be incredibly suspicious of them. This suspicion only furthered when many of the Marine chapters from the Cursed Founding decided to rise against the Imperium, leading to a series of bloody wars. Knowing they wanted to remain loyal, but could risk being seen as traitors just by being of the Cursed Founding, the Lamenters shot off into the western fringes of the galaxy on a great crusade. While this meant the Lamenters didn't end up getting caught in the crossfire, it didn't do much for their reputation either, as it's not exactly not guilty parties that end up shooting off halfway across the galaxy when a war breaks out. This reputation didn't improve even while on their crusade. The Lamenters kept trying to prove themselves as an honourable chapter. Relying on the strength of their fleet, they saved numerous Imperial worlds from Xenos threats, but this eventually led to the Lamenters facing a foe they couldn't overcome alone. On the hive world of Corellia, the Lamenters faced a chaos threat seeking to overcome the planet. While a strong force militarily, just as their predecessor chapter, they were no match for the invasion on their own, and requested the support of the nearby Mortifactors chapter. However, due to the Lamenters still being seen as cursed Marines, the Mortifactors abandoned Corellia and the Lamenters to 6 weeks of horrible combat until the Ultramarines and White Scars saved the day. During the Battle of Corellia, the Lamenters lost the majority of their number, and worst, they were left indebted to the Ultramarines. To make matters even worse still, as soon as they left Corellia, the Lamenters ended up caught in a warp storm where they disappeared and were deemed lost forever. Talk about a bad couple of days. This is the first major example of the string of bad luck commonly associated with the Lamenters, as they themselves didn't do anything wrong but just ended up with very, very poor circumstances. 100 years later, the Lamenters were back, and immediately had another run-in with bad luck as they found themselves on the planet Slaughterhouse, where orcs had hundreds of thousands of human slaves. Not only did the Lamenters fail to save the slaves, who blew themselves up to die free, but they also lost another lot of their already dwindling numbers. However, things did turn out well for the Lamenters for some time. They managed to get themselves a period of recuperation, with the Lamenters being able to regain most of their number. However, again, they ran into a string of poor choices and bad luck soon after. First, they chose to defend their new friends the Astral Claws when that chapter rose against the Imperium, with the Lamenters believing fighting alongside their friends was the right choice and the most honourable one in terms of fighting for the rights of Astartes. For that decision, which eventually failed as all threats against the Imperium do, they were sent on a 100-year crusade to make up for their sins. Again, the Lamenters ran into the biggest problem they possibly could in the form of Hive Fleet Kraken. Through fighting one tentacle of the Tyranid hive, the Lamenters again had their numbers shattered. Now, with just over 200 men left, and with no way to replenish those numbers until their crusade is complete, the Lamenters are likely to face extinction before they can pay penance for their sins against the Imperium. Apart from a string of bad luck, as shown by their short history, the Lamenters are also pitied by much of the 40k fanbase due to the melancholy they experience. It is unknown whether this chapter is so sad because of the bad luck they have, or whether it is just hereditary depression passed down from their gene seed. While it does seem strange that the Lamenters would swap out the flaws of their successor chapter for just having the big sad, it is possible, and there's some evidence for it. For example, the Lamenters bore the death of their Primarch Sanguinius much harder than any other Blood Angel successor chapter, implying that they have a deeper connection to their emotions and are more prone to depressive episodes and melancholy. Personally, as much of a cop-out answer as this is, I think the Lamenters suffer from both a tendency towards being sad, as well as having a string of bad luck that certainly doesn't make matters better. They are a chapter always focused on being honourable and doing the right thing to try and get the reputation of their cursed founding off their backs, but no matter what they do, nothing ever goes the Lamenters' way. Something that you've got to give the Lamenters credit for is that they haven't succumbed to chaos despite being almost universally hated by their Astartes brethren. It would have been easy to just go off and join some other cursed founding chapters in betrayal, but the Lamenters have always done what they thought was right for the Astartes and the Imperium. Even when they end up doing things very, very wrong, at least they try. I think that's what makes people feel so sorry for them as well. It's not like they're massive idiots who can't get anything right, it's just that either from other factors like Astartes abandoning them to an impossible fight, or just plain bad luck, things never go their way. Now, they face extinction because instead of a nice easy crusade against some greenskins or some Tau, they ran straight into Hive Fleet Kraken, within pretty much their first few years of a 100-year-long penance. Who knows whether they'll even manage to survive following that catastrophe. Well, I think that about does it for the Lamenters. Despite this being a depressing video, and the chapter's lore being rather melancholy too, a lot of fans do appreciate the Mustard Boys for all that they do for the Imperium. We all love a good underdog story after all, and hopefully one day the Imperium itself will recognise all the good the Lamenters have done, perhaps even before their bad luck renders them completely destroyed. Apologies if this video ruined your morning, afternoon or evening. There's a couple more light-hearted stories from Warhammer lore on the channel if you're looking to cheer yourself up. If not, well, I'd still love it if you could like, subscribe and do all that jazz. I've been your local crypt ghoul, and I hope you guys stay ghouling out there.